Coming on the air with some breaking news right now from the Supreme Court of the United States. The court just ruling along ideological lines 6-3 to limit the amount of power that judges have in lower courts across this country. The justices weighing in on whether judges in those courts can block certain policies that impact the entire country, a decision that will have a profound impact on a lot of President Trump's executive orders. The case involves the president's controversial executive order regarding birthright citizenship, that constitutional right which guarantees that anyone born on U.S. soil is, in fact, an American citizen. We want to go right now to our senior legal correspondent, Laura Jarrett. You have been sifting through this hefty 119-page order. What does it say? And more importantly, perhaps, what does it not say? It
is a significant victory for President Trump here, who had tried to limit the authority of all of these district court judges all around the country, Craig, that have been trying to block his executive orders. We've seen it in various contexts. This one happens to be arising in the context of his birthright citizenship executive order that tried to gut birthright citizenship for people who have undocumented parents. Today, the court saying the district court judges have been going too far. They have essentially gone beyond their authority in blocking these orders nationwide. Remember, these are district court judges. These are the lowest court judges in our system, and they've been blocking it for everyone. It's a single judge in a single state, and they've been blocking it as it relates to everyone. Now, this arises from a particular group of lawsuits filed by not only individual plaintiffs, people who are pregnant, hoping to protect their children who are still unborn, but also states saying, look, if you don't have a nationwide injunction across the entire country, you're going to have a patchwork of citizenship. You're going to have someone who's a citizen in New York, but not in the state of Alabama. How is that supposed to work? And today, the court is saying, we're going to leave to the lower courts how all of that is supposed to work. But bottom line is these district court judges have been going too far. The opinion here along ideological lines, Justice Jackson writing this: no one disputes that the executive has a duty to follow the law, but the judiciary does not have unbridled authority to enforce this obligation. In fact, sometimes the law prohibits the judiciary from doing so. At oral argument, there was fierce debate about whether judges have been going too far. Justice Alito said, look, sometimes these judges are trying to get it right, but they get it wrong. And if they block one of his executive orders wrongly, then what is the president supposed to do? That's putting him essentially in handcuffs for all of the different policy objectives that he has. Now, of course, President Trump will hail this as an enormous victory, but Democrats had trouble with executive orders being blocked, too. For instance, President Obama was widely decrying these types of nationwide injunctions for a period when his immigration initiatives were blocked. President Biden also criticized them when, remember, a single judge in Texas blocked the abortion pill from distribution. So this has come up in a variety of contexts, but it's coming up in the context of an executive order like we've never seen before. One essentially trying to ban birthright citizenship, banning something that is enshrined in the Constitution. Now, what will happen, bottom line right now, is this now will go back to the lower courts. And so the Supreme Court has set a new standard. They have essentially ushered in a sea change for how litigation is going to happen in this country. But now the work, the devil in the details, is going to happen in these lower courts. They're going to be the ones that are going to have to decide how to implement this. Are there cases in which a nationwide injunction would be appropriate for a state?
At issue here is the 14th Amendment.
Correct.
To be clear, these justices have not ruled on whether birthright citizenship as a matter of policy, as something that's been enshrined in the Constitution since the founding of the country. They did not rule on the legitimacy of that.
Correct. They did not take it up on the merits, and there was a lot of speculation that the government, the Trump administration, didn't want them to take it up on the merits, right? They didn't want to go there, knowing that it was so controversial, and many of the justices, at least the liberals, would have probably ruled that that executive order was illegal. And so they didn't ask the court to do that. They specifically asked the court to narrow these injunctions, only have them as applied to the people that sued instead of everybody, right? You can always have lawsuits for the people that sue, but the value of a nationwide injunction as a plaintiff is that you get it across the entire country. And for that, the justices are saying these district courts are going too far.
This decision comes after roughly 2 hours of oral arguments back in May. Is this what we thought would happen based on the oral arguments and some of the questions that came from the justices?
They went further than I anticipated they would, at least at oral argument, and that's why you always have to be careful about opining too much about oral argument. The justices, at least then, seemed very concerned about the patchwork that would result from this. I should also mention the president's executive order does not go into effect immediately, Craig. It's not as if tomorrow somebody doesn't have citizenship guaranteed by the Constitution. He actually set a 30-day grace period baked into that executive order, although, of course, now he could be emboldened by this decision and get rid of that. He could write a new executive order. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I just want to make it clear for people, bottom line at home, wondering, OK, does this mean people don't have citizenship tomorrow, at least based on this executive order and how this has been structured in this decision? It won't work like that. You
just read a portion of the Jackson dissent. This is a portion of the Sotomayor dissent as well. She writes in part, quote, "No right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. Today, the threat is to birthright citizenship. Tomorrow, a different administration may try to seize firearms from law-abiding citizens or prevent people of certain faiths from gathering to worship. The majority holds that absent cumbersome class action litigation, courts cannot completely enjoin even such plainly unlawful policies unless doing so is necessary to afford the formal parties complete relief."
Yeah.
What does that mean in part?
It just means that the sort of legal structure as we know it, as it has been going on, and certainly as it has been going on in this administration, is about to dramatically change. We're about to see a lot more litigation, a lot more protracted class actions where a group of people have to get together. They have to be similarly situated, and it's going to take longer, and it's going to be more litigation. It doesn't mean that they may not win on the merits eventually,
sure,
but it does mean it's a significant loss for them today.
Precedent has been changed.
It's fundamentally.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.